Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our webinar presentation. This is Financial Halo / MedXPrime. We trust that all of you have had a chance to review our legal disclaimer. Our parent company is Financial Halo. We do offer a variety of different services called Halos. However, on this call, we are going to focus in on MedXPrime, our AWV program, and our recently added program called Business Advisors. Good morning. My name is Sunil Wadhwa. I am the founder, CEO, and president of Financial Halo / MedXPrime, along with my business partner, Mr. Ken Newton, co-founder and COO. Just a quick little background about us. Ken and I actually met in Lamaze class, of all places, 24 years ago. And as he was getting his butt kicked by his wife, as I was, we kind of looked at each other and said, what the heck are we doing here? So that's how our friendship began 24 years ago. We've become business partners, of course, many years ago. My daughter, that was born 24 years ago now, is running our company along with my wife. We have an amazing staff here at our company, and I share that with you because as you join our company, you'll find that we are a very family-oriented company. We're extremely proud of that, and should you join, you become part of our extended family. We come from the direct sales environment, about 50 years combined experience. We've held various different titles, CEO, president, VPs, consultants, and top producers in the industry. A couple years ago, we decided to open up our own company, and we are so very glad we did, as you'll learn a little bit more about what we're offering. Let's jump into our presentation, MedXPrime. Very quick look and see of our amazing scientific advisory board. These are doctors that have raised their hands and said, hey, we love your mission. Our mission is clearly identified at the bottom of every slide. It says every doctor, every patient, and again, you'll understand why as we continue our presentation. So let me jump in and ask the question, do you or anyone you know take medications? Kind of a silly question, and I say that because in the U.S. alone, there are 4 billion prescriptions written every year. The population of the U.S. is about 330 million. Therefore, the chances are very good that each and every one of you on this call are taking meds or multiple meds. And if you aren't, you certainly have someone in your household that is. Now, the more important question and the focus over the next few minutes is, have you or anyone you know ever had an adverse drug reaction? And sadly, probably most all of you can answer yes to that question as well. If you haven't, you certainly know someone that has. So ladies and gentlemen, what if there was a test that could look inside your body, so to speak, and give your doctor vital information? And what if this test looked at your DNA and metabolism, and with just this one test and one time, it would give your doctor this vital information in regards to medication that would work best for you, more importantly, what would not work for you, what might cause harmful side effects, and those that might even have catastrophic interactions. And forever your doctor would know this right information for you, and therefore there would be no more guessing. Stop and reflect on that, ladies and gentlemen. Today, and no disrespect to docs, they are playing the guessing game, and we now have a solution. So welcome to the new frontier of personalized medicine. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not really an accurate statement. There's nothing new about what we're talking about. It's going to baffle you to know that this technology has been around for almost 8 years now, and yet 90 to 95% of the physicians have not incorporated this within their practice. It is unbelievable to me. It's extremely sad as I share these facts with you. Now, the facts I'm going to share are U.S.-based numbers. Of course, this is a worldwide issue. People take meds all over the world. People have adverse drug reactions all over the world. But the numbers I'm sharing with you are U.S.-based. So in the U.S., every year there are 2 million people that are hospitalized because of an adverse drug reaction. The next number is very scary. 106,000 people die every year because medication that they took that didn't suit their body, so to speak. And you know, I'm a firm believer, ladies and gentlemen, that we are numb, if you will, to numbers. We hear numbers all the time. You know, 1,000 here, 10,000, 100,000, a million, a billion, a trillion. And I don't think really most of us appreciate numbers. So I want to drive this number really home by sharing an example analogy. That 106,000 deaths is like an airplane with 300 passengers crashing every single day for the next approximate year. That's what 106,000 fatalities looks like. Now here's my question. God forbid that ever happened. Would you get on an airplane? And more importantly, would you wait a whole year before making that decision not to get on an airplane? I think not. After the second or third consecutive crash, you would say, whoa, something is wrong. I'm not getting on an airplane. The airline business would cease. Trillions of dollars would be lost. Heads would roll. Congressional hearings would happen all day long. Then the question is, why is that not happening here? And you and I know the answer to that. The pharmaceutical companies are so huge and powerful that the spotlight hasn't been put on this huge number. In fact, I was doing a presentation on the East Coast, and I had a young lady walk up to me, and she says, Sunil, you really have to drive this number home to your folks that are listening to this presentation, because she's a director of the Susan Komen organization. And most all of you probably recognize that it's a pink ribbon organization that fights breast cancer. And she says, Sunil, we lose about 46,000 women a year due to breast cancer, unfortunately. And yet, most everyone knows about breast cancer, and most people know about the Susan Komen organization. Yet the number you're sharing with us tonight is almost three times larger, and yet nobody really has put the focus on adverse drug reactions. It's now the fourth leading cause of death. This is very scary stuff. And folks, I can keep sharing facts all day long with you, but I want to show you this next slide. This is the family of one of our representatives actually in Missouri. That beautiful lady in the middle is the daughter-in-law. Her name is Carrie. Beautiful mom of 5 children, 37 years old. She was on 8 medications, and one Sunday afternoon she wasn't feeling well, told the family she was going to go lay down, and her little girl ran in to find mommy gone. She died, ladies and gentlemen, because she had an adverse drug reaction. A 10-year-old boy that is not in this picture was on 4 medications, including Prozac, and he too died because of an adverse drug reaction. First of all, don't even get me started on why a 37-year-old is on 8 meds and a 10-year-old is on 4 meds. That's a whole other discussion. But I want to believe that based on this very simple test that we're talking about here today, if their physician would have given this very simple test, perhaps they would be here with us today. So personalized medicine testing can significantly reduce ADRs, yield better outcomes, and lowers the cost of healthcare. And very well-known clinics like the Mayo Clinic, Vanderbilt, Johns Hopkins, Duke, Stanford, and other very well-known clinics have implemented this test within their systems. And yet, 90 to 95% of the physicians haven't. How ridiculous is that? The Associate Director of the FDA is quoted to say that this is the science that allows us to predict a response to drugs based on an individual's complete genetic makeup. Helps doctors to individualize drug therapy, decrease adverse drug reaction, and increase the effectiveness of treatment plans. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm obviously emphasizing some very key words in his statement. this is very common sense, and yet it continues to be a trial and error. Let me share with you why I'm so passionate about this and why actually our company got involved in this space. A couple of years ago, I was coming back from New York, and in flight, I was flipping through in-flight magazines. And I ran across an article on pharmacogenetic testing, what we're talking about here today, called pharmacogenetic testing, otherwise known as PGX. And as I'm reading this article, I became very angry because I reflected on my father. See, a couple of years before, my father had an open heart surgery. And you can imagine the myriad of meds that an open heart patient is put on. And unfortunately, my father had all kinds of adverse reactions. I mean, we're talking about nausea, dizzy spells. He fell a few times. He was so weak, fragile. And by the way, my father has been a very, very strong man all his life. He came out of the womb, I kid you not, working out. We're talking yoga, running, lifting. He eats on time. He sleeps on time. He's a vegetarian. The open heart wasn't because of clogged arteries. It was because there was a leak in the heart. They scared him to death that he would be a stroke victim, blah, blah, blah. I wish he would have never had that open heart done. But anyway, that's another story. The surgery went fantastically well. But these damn meds, and pardon my French, were literally killing him. And every time he'd call his doctor, what do you think he did? Yeah, come on in, Mr. Wadwa. Let me try something else. Try something else? Why in the world would a doctor want to try an experiment when the science exists? And so they would. They would put another med in and take one out, or increase the dosage or decrease the dosage. And this nonsense game went on for almost a year before they finally figured out a right protocol for him. Can you believe that? How insane is that? So this one-size-fits management has to stop. And by doctors implementing this very simple test, it will enhance patient care, patient satisfaction, patient compliance, patient confidence. And, as you'll see in the next couple slides, this does reduce the physician's liability. So bottom line, it's the right information, the right drug, the right dosage, and right from the beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, does it get any more common sense than that? You know, my father years ago told me that common sense isn't common. Reflect on that as you go through life. It's just very scary that we run into that on a daily basis, do we not? And this being just an amazing one of them. Right information, right drug, right dosage, right from the beginning, and yet the doctors have not implemented this within their practice. How insane is that? The New Yorker ran this cartoon a few months back. Here's a guy ready to pop pills in his bathroom. And it says, I forget, if I have an adverse reaction, do I call my doctor or my lawyer? So I kid you not, this is coming real fast. In fact, this report really emphasizes that. On ABC Nightly News with David Muir, September the 2nd, just a few months back, a Dr. Lisa Singh out of the Los Angeles area was featured and on trial because she actually lost 3 patients last year and a total of 13 over the last couple years. And she was up for trial because of the medications that she was prescribing. Just a few weeks ago, she was convicted, life in prison. So doctors have to start waking up to the seriousness of this issue. Men's Journal talks about it. It says, you know, every time you walk into a physician's office, you run the risk of overtreatment, tests you don't need, and more importantly to our discussion, medications that are ineffective or dangerous. This is just a ridiculous article. This is 1 in 6 hospitalizations of older adults is because they had an adverse reaction. And that number goes to 1 in 3 if those individuals are over 75. These numbers are, again, unacceptable. Now, this is where it's going to really make all of you very upset. You see, we don't have to be thrown on a table, so to speak, and cut open in half for doctors to figure out what works for us and what doesn't work for us. It's called a buccal swab. It's a fancy name for a Q-tip. So the doctor's office will rub a Q-tip on the inside cheek of your mouth and another one on the other side. They'll take these two, put it into a small little envelope with your information, and throw it in Federal Express package, and that is now sent to our lab. Within a few days, your doctor will have a very clear, comprehensive report, what your body can handle, and again, more importantly, what your body cannot handle. And our lab that we've teamed up with is the #1 lab in the country because they do the most extensive, most comprehensive PGX test. They run a test on 25 genes, as well as, and very important point, they also do a drug-to-drug interaction based on your DNA and based on your metabolism. So ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude this part of our presentation, my question is very clear. Why in the world wouldn't a doctor do this? And frankly, there's not one reason, not one excuse a doctor can give me. And generally what we hear is we're too busy. I'm sorry, you're too busy? You mean my dad had time to go back and forth to your office, to the pharmacy, throw away meds, buy more meds, be sick constantly, dizzy spells, fall a few times? You mean the patient has time to go through all of that, but you don't have time to do a 2-minute test? Sorry, unacceptable. We don't have enough staff. Again, sorry, don't want to hear it. Figure it out. If you're going to prescribe meds, then by golly, you better figure out the time to do this life-saving test. You know, we have one of our reps. He was a hospital CEO for 35 years. And about 14 years ago, he had a heart condition. And of course, he was put on meds. And since then, he's retired from the hospital business. But he found our company, as you are joining our webinar this morning. He did as well a few months back, became a representative, and got his PGX test done. When his results came back, he and his doctors were blown away that the meds that he'd been on for 14 years were not the proper meds for him. So, of course, his doctors immediately switched him out. One of our trainers in Georgia raised his hands in a meeting I was doing there, said, you know, Sunil, my cousin had such a severe reaction that they amputated his leg. One of our guests in a meeting where she shared a story where a 12-year-old baby girl, and this one just really upsets me. I'm a father of 2 girls as well. And her baby girl had such a severe reaction to meds that she has now contracted the Stevens-Johnson's disease. It's a skin scalding, skin deforming disease, which she'll deal with for the rest of her life. And the stories go on and on. These are unacceptable. And let me go on the limb to say this, folks, that each and every one of you that may be on multiple meds, you absolutely need to get that test done immediately. Or if somebody in your family is on meds, you got to get this test done. Because, see, without it, bottom line, you're playing Russian roulette. And certainly your doctor's playing Russian roulette without this information. And let me go on also on the limb to say this, that if your doctor says no to giving you this test, go find another doctor. Because that's how important this is for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, we need your help. We must get this message out to as many doctors as we can, and of course as many patients as we can. So with that, I'd like to transition and share with you a brilliant business model that we have created here, if you don't mind me saying. And if you're not interested in this aspect of our presentation, you're welcome to jump off. But please do reach out to the person that invited you on this call. They'll be more than happy to go and help you set up your doctor so that you can get this test done. Now, you won't be compensated for that because you do have to become an official representative and go through our process. But if you just want your test, then by all means get a hold of our rep and they'll help you through that process. However, if you want to also make some potentially significant dollars, we invite you to stick around and allow me to share a brilliant business model where you actually have 4 areas of income streams that we have created. One is on the PGX testing that we just spoke about. Another is toxicology, annual wellness visit, and our most brilliant billing program that we just implemented. So let me quickly go through this. Our PGX testing that we just spoke about, as you can see, we have different groups of representatives that we allow to come into the company. And as I mentioned at the beginning of our presentation, we are very legally compliant. You know, when you're working with doctors and Medicare and insurance companies and reimbursements and labs, you want to be very careful what you're doing. And we're very proud that we take a lot of precautions. And to that point, we have created groups of representatives depending on their background. So a CR stands for Certified Rep. So as you join our company as a representative, we're going to ask you to go through some hoops, very simple hoops, but that helps us to determine your background and your experience level. So those of you that come from the medical space in some capacity, perhaps you've been a medical device rep, a pharma rep, maybe you're a retired doctor, a nurse. Bottom line, what we're looking for is, do you have the experience level to clearly present the program to a doctor? That's really the bottom line. So let's assume all of you on this call become certified reps tomorrow. Simply means that you now have our green light to go talk to doctors about the PGX test. And let's say you talk to Dr. Bob, and Dr. Bob gets it. And according to Google, an average practice out there in the U.S. has about 2,500 patients. And let's say over time, and let's say over a year, Dr. Bob tests 40% of his patients, and that round number would be 1,000. 40% of 2,500 is 1,000 patients that he tests. And let's say that our lab gets reimbursed on 500 of those. And as you can see at the bottom of the slide, our average reimbursement that the lab received from insurance companies was about 1,000 net. Medicare pays lower than that, but we pay you on a percentage. So just using simple numbers here, you get 20% of that 1,000 or $200, and on Dr. Bob's production of 500 out of the 1,000, your income in this illustration would be $100,000. 200 times 500 tests that are reimbursed is $100,000 to you. Very serious income for you doing, frankly, very little, but setting up the doctor, supporting the doctor from the standpoint of anything that you could do to help out. Now, many of you on the call might say, well, Sunil, this is amazing, but you know what? I don't have any background in talking to doctors. Well, first of all, I thank you for that self-reflection, and I thank you for helping us do the right thing. So what we're going to do with you is put you under the RR category. That is our referring representative. You're going to have a very important but a very limited task, and that is to set an appointment with a doctor that you know. Maybe your next door neighbor is a doctor. Maybe your best friend's a doctor. Maybe you know a doctor at church. Our certified trainer, our CT, will be linked with you. They will do the presentation work. They'll answer the doctor's question. They'll help to start the doctor up by setting him up on a one-page simple startup doctor setup. The lab will send the test kits, Federal Express kits. All of that is paid by the lab. Doctor doesn't pay for that, nor do you. And for that example that we just shared, you would earn $50,000 instead of $100,000. Now, you do that only for 3 accounts. So you set up 3 accounts with a certified trainer. those 3 accounts start testing, and as long as the trainer feels you're competent to go out and do it on your own, you could become a CR. Now, by the way, many of you on the call here today, because of your experience and backgrounds, you also may want to become a CT as well, because there's additional income stream for you in helping what I just described for referring representatives. Now, very quickly, you see another set of numbers on this slide, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 10. Another brilliant component of our compensation model is the ability for you to build a sales team. For those of you that understand the power of leverage, very similar to the real estate industry, financial planners, insurance, in fact, even pharma reps. You know, pharma rep walks in, sets up a doctor, he or she earns a commission, their manager earns a commission, their regional manager earns a commission, so does the senior manager, so on. So we've elected to do the same thing, so please don't complicate this any more in your minds than you have to. It's very, very lucrative. It's frankly one of the most brilliant business models in the business world because, again, it gives you the power of leverage. You know, J. Paul Getty, the billionaire in the oil world, once said, I'd rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own. And that's the genius of this model. So as a very quick example, if you brought me on board as a representative, I'm your best friend, I'm your next door neighbor, and I came on board because you introduced me to the company, and I go out there and set up Dr. Bob in our previous example, I would make the $100,000, but you would make $50 on each one of those 500 that our lab was reimbursed, or $25,000 just on my Dr. Bob's account. But what if I had 10 of those accounts? In our example, that would be 25,000 times 10. So you get the point. And we go even beyond that. As you come on board, we'll certainly train you in our compensation model. But those of you that have no interest in creating a sales team, that's fine as well. I believe that's a serious mistake on your part. But here's the other part of our business model where you don't have to. Just go out and set up doctors. Set up 10 doctors. Maybe it takes you 30 days or maybe it takes you a year. And using some conservative numbers here, again, using the 40% of the patients that each of those doctors test over time. And I'm even being more conservative here, saying that the lab only gets reimbursed on 20%. So you can see the potential that is on the table for you on this PGX testing. Now, as lucrative as PGX testing is, please keep in mind that this is paid one time because this test is a one-time test. However, the second area, and really a very lucrative area for you, is toxicology. The same doctor you set up on PGX, because of your relationship, hopefully you can get that doctor to also allow you to do the toxicology for them. The nice thing about this is that a lot of patients require toxicology on an ongoing basis. Some patients require it on a daily basis. Some require it on a weekly, every 2 weeks, every month. You get the point. And every time the doctor does a toxicology test, you're getting paid a commission. And again, we'll teach you all of this as you join our company. So here's a quick example of setting up 10 docs that are doing toxicology with you. Again, a huge potential. Let me transition into another area. This is very, very important because there's significant dollars for you, but more importantly, there's significant dollars for your doctor. You may or may not be aware of this, but in today's world, physicians' incomes are on the decline, so they're very much open to ancillary income. On the first two, PGX and toxicology, it is against federal law for the doctors to earn any commission from the tests. Of course, they earn their normal billing for seeing patients, but they cannot earn money on the tests themselves. The annual wellness allows them actually to earn dollars. You see, this is a program that was actually rolled out by Medicare in 2011. It was for 50 million of their patients, Medicare patients, that they wanted these patients to go through this annual wellness with their doctors. The problem with this program was that the paperwork was so cumbersome that most doctors in this country elected not to implement it. Well, at MedXPrime, we're very excited because we actually teamed up with two of our friends that we've known for a number of years, and they elected to take this program into the electronic world and keep it very simple for the patient and the doctors. So what happens now is that the patient walks in, the receptionist, the MA or the PA or the doctor themselves sits down with the patient and goes through this very simple 30-question questionnaire on the tablet. And after that, they come up with a game plan. And for that, Medicare reimburses $175 the first year. And the patient can have this done every 11 months. Now, of that $175, the doctor gets to keep $135 of it. So let's say you set up Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob does 5 of these a day. That's very simple. 20 workday month, he just earned $13,500. 100 a month times 135 is $13,500. That is huge, significant income. That's an annual income of $162,000. And that also triggers additional income, as you can see, on an average of about $300 because of that annual wellness exam. For you, the representative, you get paid $12 on each one, or in this example, $100 a month means $1,200 for you. Our next area, this is extremely important for you and your doctor. We're very excited that Financial Halo MedXPrime has actually teamed up, partnered up with our business partner, BusinessAdvisorMD. And in fact, as you can see, Cash Tandon there at the bottom right, the CEO of this company, he's actually one of our representatives. Interesting story. He came on board as one of our representatives about 5 months ago, and he started to do PGX testing with his doctors. He set up 3 doctors, and over the last 5 months, ladies and gentlemen, he's earned very significant income. Last month, his income was $19,000 from those same 3 doctors. And they didn't send in thousands and thousands. They sent in about 200 tests. Thus far, about 95 were paid for last month, and his commission was $19,000. So as I got to know him, I asked him, what does he do? He says, Sunil, we have a niche market. We help doctors bring back money into their practice from what is called insurance accounts receivable. And as I found out his background, that he came from Ernst & Young and worked with multi-billion-dollar companies, and he'd been around now for 15 years with 6 offices and 60 full-time employees and 20 part-time employees with clients all over the country. I asked him to drill down and share with me his niche market. And it became just so interesting to us that we partnered up, because it's very significant for the doctors and you, as you'll see in just a moment. So, ladies and gentlemen, as Cash has shared with us, 100% of the practices out there have this very serious issue, which is almost on a crisis level, as he says. Because what happens in today's world, the doctor's billing company bills insurance companies and Medicare, etc., but they're very quickly able to recover about 70%, but 30% of it, for whatever reasons, are denied or they cannot collect on. And because that work is so tedious and labor-intensive, their current billing companies move on to the next month's billing and collect the 70%, and move on to the next month, collect the 70%, and this 30% continues to pile up and becomes tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and as I'll share a story with you in a moment, millions of dollars of accounts receivables. And so we created an amazing business model, and we made some very nice tweaks, if you will, to his current business model. You see, currently he would go into a doctor and say, hey, doc, you got accounts receivable. Allow me to do a report to show you exactly why your current billing company has failed you. And he charged an upfront fee anywhere from $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $7,000, $10,000, depending on the size of the account. Well, because we want to take over this space on a national basis, we came up with a model where you and I can go to the doctor and say the same thing, but charge them nothing up front, zero upfront cost for cash to do what is called a detailed sample report, which we call it the WOW report. Why is it called the WOW report? Well, the doctor is going to be wowed when he gets that report within 48 to 72 hours, and you'll see why his accounts are piling up. What happens from that point is the doctor, of course, wants the full comprehensive report done. And there certainly is a fee for that, which I'll share with you in a moment. But your responsibility in this very simple program is to simply get the doctor's interest. We created an amazing 3.5-minute video, actually from a COO of an orthopedic group that actually had, listen to this, $3 million in accounts receivables. That practice, of course, engaged with business advisors, and they were so pleased with what they did for them that COO was willing to do this 3.5-minute video. It's very compelling. If a doctor watches this video, they absolutely would be nuts, frankly, not to take up our business offer to them, and that is a no-cost WOW report that they'll get in 48 to 72 hours. You'll set an appointment. You will not engage in any discussions as a representative. Your job is simply to show that 3.5-minute video, set an appointment, and that's it. You're done. Now, what happens in this phase 1 is that the doctor, after seeing that WOW report, is going to want the full report. Now, that does come with a price. It's very minimal. Generally, for one doctor practice, is about $3,000 to $4,000. But he does not charge any more than $15,000 at the very high end. So in this example, 3-doctor practice that has $300,000 in accounts receivable, he'll charge $15,000. If the practice is a 10-doctor practice with $3 million, he'll charge $15,000, and you get the point. The most the doctor will pay is $15,000 for this very comprehensive report. For this, your commission is $5,000. It's based on a percentage, as you can see on the left side, 33 1/3% of whatever the fee is. So if the fee is $7,500, your commission will be $2,500. Now you'll get paid this within 30 to 45 days generally is your commission. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is not where the big money is. This is just simply a hook, because we do want the client, the doctor, on an ongoing basis. Now, 9 out of 10 times when the doctor goes to the phase 1, they want to go to phase 2. What's phase 2? Well, the ongoing monthly billing. Think about this. Why in the world would a doctor want to stick around with their current company that has dropped the ball on them? So in this example, that 3-doctor practice normally has about $3 million in annual billing, for which your commission is $15,000. By the way, this is annually paid to you, meaning every year that the doctor remains on board and the 98% retention rate is what they've experienced, you as a rep gets paid on an ongoing basis. And let me be very clear here on 2 points. Number one, this $15,000 is paid to you on a monthly basis. Annually it becomes $15,000, and you're paid this every month on an ongoing basis forever, because this is your client. Second most important question or point here is if this was a 3-doctor practice that is doing $6 million, your annual commission would be $30,000. And of course, if you're building a team, you're earning some very significant overrides by your team going out there and setting up doctors. Now, here's another very, very important point. Again, as I mentioned earlier, doctors are looking for incidental revenues, ancillary incomes, and so the doctor can actually participate in this. Trust me when I tell you that when Business Advisors is doing this for them, they're going to want to tell other doctors that they're connected with. So your Dr. Bob tells Dr. Joe, and Dr. Joe now becomes a client of Business Advisors, while Dr. Bob can earn the significant income that we just talked about. You, of course, are still taken care of because you're earning overrides. Doctors will be all over this business model. So again, you're just talking to a doctor very briefly, without any details, show them the video, set an appointment, and you're done. We have trainers all over the country. We've got about 120 trainers. Just show you a very quick picture, not of all 120, of course. But if you also become a trainer, we will highlight you where you can help some of our people out there in the marketplace that may need your assistance, and you also earn significant dollars by becoming a CT. In closing our call, ladies and gentlemen, it's $199.95 for you to join our company. It's a processing fee. And this allows you to market the PGX, the toxicology, the AWV, the business program that we just talked about, and other halos that we really didn't focus in on. You know, for example, my tax halo, because it's tax season right now. We have teamed up with a brilliant lady in Sacramento, California. If any of you or someone you know, or if you want to market this, that owe tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands to the IRS, you absolutely want them to talk to our gal in Sacramento. If that person becomes a client of hers on the offer and compromise, your commission is $1,000. And you've done nothing but simply connected parties. Similarly, we have an amazing credit card program. Unlike all the nonsense you see, we've teamed up with a company that has a very unique program. Many people have tens of thousands of dollars in credit card issues. Once they become a client, again, you're just linking that prospect with our company, or I should say our partner, and your commission is $1,000. So based on everything I've just shared with you, $200 to join our company is very minimal, ladies and gentlemen. We should charge a lot more, frankly. The only other expense for you is $19.95 a month. That gives you multiple websites. We give you personalized, replicated websites on our Financial Halo products and services and our MedXPrime. Depending on which ones you're marketing, you have various choices. Beyond that, we give you tens of thousands of dollars literally of training in your back office. We track your genealogy that you can see in your back office. There's no way that you would ever be able to track without this system. Marketing resources are available to you. So these are very minimal costs for you to do business with us. You know, as I shared the example of our rep that made $19,000 last month, was that worth it for him to come on board for a couple $100? The answer is of course. You also need to know that these expenses are write-offs for you. I'm not here to give you tax advice, but certainly your tax advisor will share that very important information with you. So ladies and gentlemen, with that, we invite you to please get back together with the person that invited you. They'll send their replicated website with their username. You'll click on the Enroll Now tab, go through the very simple process of becoming a representative, and instantly you will also get your replicated website. And off you go in building a very lucrative business with our company. We thank each and every one of you for your valuable time. We again ask that you please get back together with the person that invited you, and we do look forward to working with each and every one of you. Thank you so much.